So the next part of the journey here is to replace this PS2 connector with this panel mount one that I just happen to have, which will work really well. The idea is I'm going to drill a hole in the back of the case that this will mount into and a couple of screw holes, and just mount this directly someplace in the back of the case. And then the VGA15 connector here will come through one of the DB5 holes on the case, and the board will just be hung on that here in the system. So I think that makes sense. So I have once again taken a look at the back of the board here, and there's 6 pins on that PS2 connector. I've looked down into the connector as drawn here, and I figured out which pins go to which traces here. I have previously verified on the web, looking at the PS2 keyboard connectors, that the 4 leads here are the 4 I need. There's power, ground, clock, and data. Looking down into the connector in the same orientation, I've marked the color of the wires. There's a red on 2, orange on 4, black on 5, and yellow on 6. And I've got the pin numbers incorrect here for the standard pin out of this, so I've just arbitrarily numbered these just so I can wire this up. But I remember this was +5, this was ground, and I don't remember which one of these was clock and data. It doesn't really matter, but this gives me what I need here to hook this up. So really it's going to be the same thing. I need to unsolder this connector. I just don't need it on the board. Hopefully not destroy the board, although I've got plenty more blanks. I thought about assembling up a blank, but it's just easier to mod this board at this point. I used regular lead solder when I assembled this, so hopefully I won't need to add solder to desolder these. We'll find out. I'd like to save this PS2 connector. I don't want to sacrifice it in this case because I don't have a whole lot of these. The ones I've got in stock, like this one, were pools. You know, from I don't know where. You know, I end up with dead boards, unrepairable boards, and I always do parts reclaim. And one of the things I go after is things like these connectors. Got one pin here that I'm not sure is desoldered. Let's see if I can get the majority of the solder off of there. Ow. Now I just burnt myself off camera. It's become a really common thing for me here recently, is burning myself. Ooh, it's a good one too. Really fried the knuckle there. Let's see if I've got any chance of that walking out of there, and it looks like it's going to come out perfect. So we've salvaged that connector. While I'll keep the hood here because it's very reusable, I'm just going to trim the leads off. I'll leave a little bit of length on them to make those easier to get out. At a future date, that'll go into the bin. It does feel like I'm going to have to strip back a little more insulation on this, or that outer plastic coating, just to get some lead spacing. I will try to very carefully do that and not cut into the inner wires. It's really close. Try to release it from over here. Got the 4 leads. Hopefully these will be able to take solder. I don't know if I can actually strip these with this tool or not. Oh yeah, that's stripped very well. Count your blessings. And I certainly am counting my blessings in the current world crisis. I think I've mentioned maybe in another video too, I am lucky to have a job where I can work from home. I've got a really great team I'm working with. Very lucky to still have a job, being paid, able to work from home, having things, I won't say calm down at work, but getting better. We spent a large amount of time over the last week, a little bit longer than a week, standing up in Azure Windows virtual desktops and getting Win 10 machines basically in that virtual desktop environment so people can work from home that work where I work. So that's a really good thing. So let me go ahead and transfer the colors over. So red is right here, orange is right here, black is right here, yellow is right here. And I'm going to go ahead, I think, and actually tin these up. Hopefully, without getting too much solder on them. I still got to get through the holes in the PCB, but they will be easier to get through if they're tinned up lightly. Enough to keep the wires from unraveling. That one's got a bit of a large solder ball on the end. And from the back of the board, I'm actually going to go through from the front of the board. So from the front of the board, that should be pin 2, and luckily it is. When looking from the back, make sure that's kind of pulled up tight. We'll solder him in place. And black is going to be over there on pin 5. And yellow is going to come in through pin 6, and of course the way these come out of that black outer sheath isn't the order I need them here, but that's okay. Pull him up kind of tight, tack him in place. And orange goes through next to black. So right there. Of course, the next thing to do is now to go connect this up and see if it works. So we should have been black, yellow, we are, orange, and then red down on 2 when we are. So that really should give me the ability in the case to mount the PS2 connector someplace else in the back sheet metal. I did notice that looking through the DB25 punch outs already in the metal, this is a little too tall. It won't fit in, the PS connector wouldn't go in, and so I would have to actually, if I was going to use one of those DB25 punch outs, I would have to enlarge a section of it, and that's still a possibility here. I may decide to do that, but I'm honestly thinking it might just be easier to drill a hole. I've got a piece of metal, one of those slots that goes into a PC slot that actually has the proper holes in it and the spacing, so I could use that as a guide to actually drill and just mount this natively right inside of the case. So turn off the tools before I forget. And the next step here is going to be go down, plug this in, and just make sure everything still works. So a quick review of where we got to with this is we've got the extension cable, of course, here, and a PS2 keyboard plugged into it. I've got my TTL level to EIA level converter here on the system. This cable's running around to TTY0. On the Altair, we've got GOF's VT100 Emulator here, and of course the VGA connection, and right now it's being powered off of USB. So that was the test setup. Fired the machine up, was able to get in, the keyboard, everything worked, booted the machine into Alt-Mon, and I was able to just, input some commands. So the PS2 extension cable works, it's wired up correctly, and we have an operating keyboard, so that's a really nice next step in this. So with that, I'll see you in the next video.